Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor came out recently and said that he is not going to have his family at this fight with Dustin Poirier, which is quite significant because in all of his previous fights, he's had someone from his family there, whether it be D and Conor Jr. or D and his new daughter, whose name completely escapes me. But they've always been there. They've always been in and around, and D's been at every one of his fights. So for him to turn around and say that he's not having his family there, I think it is something that we can read into, because a lot of the criticism for Conor's last performance is that he was very nice, very lovey-dovey. He was very complimentary of Dustin, which is something we don't see from Conor, and something that he's not. That's not what he's famous for. It's not what we like to see. And I know that you shouldn't encourage people to behave badly, but when he behaves badly, he sells more tickets and more people want to watch it. And I want to watch it. I don't want to see Conor McGregor sitting there being all nice to Dustin Poirier. I want to see Conor McGregor sitting there being horrible and saying nasty things about Dustin Poirier and just behaving in a loutish manner, because that's what sells fights, and that's just the way it goes, and that's the situation and the way that it's been all across the history of combat sports. The more bad blood and the more animosity, the more people that tune in and watch it, and that's just the way it is. When it's manufactured, you can tell. When it's not, it really makes the needle move. So I think not having his kids is a good thing. Not having his kids there at the fight is a good thing. I'm not altogether too confident that kids should be at a cage fight anyway. You know, I think Conor's son's 4 or 5 or whatever, and to have him, or maybe he's 3, I don't know how old he is, but to have him at a cage fight, I don't know. It's one of those ones. It's different strokes for different folks. In any event, I digress. So Conor McGregor basically said that he is not having his family at this next fight, which is interesting. The other reason for that might be that D, his girlfriend, is heavily pregnant, and I think that her due date might be just before the fight, so it's unlikely that she's going to be there anyway. But it is interesting that he has taken that step to not have his family at the fight, and I think that will. It certainly plays into the narrative that we're going to see a much more focused Conor, a much more serious Conor. But the trouble with that narrative is that every single one of his fights, that's the narrative you hear. That's the thing that's peddled out by his coaches and the people around him and his family and even him and even Dana, is that, oh, I've never seen Conor like this. Oh, my God, I've never seen Conor in this mood. Oh, just you wait. This is the best Conor McGregor. Yeah. And that's not just exclusive to Conor, because everyone does that. Every single coach out there, when interviewed about their fighter having a fight, whether it's Rose Namajunas, Jorge Masvidal, Kamaru Usman, Justin Gaethje, Alex Morono, whoever it is, that's the narrative that's always pushed. Oh, this is the best camp. This is the best he's looked. He's amazing. It's fantastic. Just you wait. And they're unlikely to come out and go, oh, I'll tell you what, he's had a stinker of a camp. I mean, you know, he's not blocking left hooks. He's not doing this. His ground game's really taking... They're not going to say that. But you can't read into what the coach says. And that's proof. Because they'll have said that before the Jose Aldo fight when Conor won in 13 seconds. And they'll have said that before the Khabib fight where he got mauled. Well, he didn't really get mauled. He won a round. But you know what I mean. So regardless of what the coaches say, what the athlete says and what the promoter says, because let's remember, it's the promoter's job to sell the fight. If he says anything derogatory about a card coming up, he's only taking money out of his own pocket. So Dana's unlikely to come out and say, Conor's barely trained. It's not going to happen. But when you see that his kids and family might not be at the fight, that does kind of spin that narrative back round that, maybe he is taking this a little bit more seriously. So that's definitely something to read into, if you ask me. The other thing about Conor that came out recently is that he was thinking about buying Manchester United, which I'll stop you there. He can't do. He might have a net worth of about 600, 700 million pounds from his whiskey company sale and his fighting career and all that sort of stuff. But Manchester United costs around $3 billion. So he's not going to buy it. Would he buy a part of it? Maybe. But probably a small part. He's unlikely to plough all of his £600 million fortune or £500 million fortune into a football club. So yeah, I mean, he's saying it for a laugh and for people to listen to it, talk about it, and then me to talk to you about it. because, that's what Conor McGregor does. And look, here we are talking about it. But no, Conor McGregor is not going to buy Manchester United for anyone that thought he might be able to.